When most of us picture a career in public service, we assume we have to trade earning potential for job security. But watch those stacks multiply. The reality of modern government compensation looks very different. You're probably here because you want to know exactly which government role actually offers the absolute highest salary in 2026, shows the hidden reality of elite government compensation. On the left, you see how a standard private sector salary measures up against a basic government paycheck. But on the right, the base pay is only the foundation. Those extra blocks represent allowances. We're talking about comprehensive subsidies for housing, travel, security, and medical care that drastically inflate the total monthly value of the package. Standard private sector salaries rarely offer these kinds of tax-free living subsidies at this scale. When your major life expenses are covered by the state, your actual take-home liquidity changes entirely. Identifying the highest-paying government career requires looking past the top-line figures on a job board to see how these hidden perks actually scale the total package. That scaling effect is exactly how we arrive at the headline number that drives millions of applications, a staggering 4 lakh rupees per month. But there is a catch. You cannot walk into an exam center in your 20s and walk out with that specific paycheck. We need to talk about terminal compensation. That 4 lakh figure represents the absolute peak salary achievable, the finish line of a very specific career track. Reaching that peak demands an unbroken, highly filtered timeline of over 3 decades in administrative service. It is a long-term endurance test. Your decision in 2026 forces a specific trade-off: securing a high starting salary immediately or accepting lower initial pay to start a multi-decade climb toward peak national power. Before we look at the specific roles, we have to factor in one major variable that applies across the board: the geography multiplier. Your base rank and pay might be perfectly uniform across the entire country, but your total take-home compensation will shift aggressively depending on where you are posted. Look at this view of Mumbai's Marine Drive. Living in a Tier 1 metro city like this means your house rent allowance spikes to match the local real estate market, driving up your total monthly value compared to someone holding the exact same rank in a smaller town. Any accurate evaluation of your return on investment has to account for this geographic flexibility. The liquidity you actually experience depends entirely on where you are willing or ordered to live. If your priority is immediate financial liquidity, your primary target should be the RBI Grade B officer track. Working behind these doors at the Reserve Bank of India means you are directly responsible for regulating commercial banks, managing the country's monetary policy, and keeping the national financial system stable. Securing this position requires clearing highly competitive banking and financial regulatory examinations. This comparison matrix maps it perfectly. The RBI Grade B role starts at 82,000 rupees, scaling to 1.8 lakh within 5 years. The trade-off is influence. You gain financial stability, but lack the on-the-ground public authority of a district magistrate. This makes the RBI path the clear winner for the pragmatic optimizer, the candidate who values immediate cash flow and weekend stability over national fame. For those whose ambitions require direct, sweeping influence, we turn to the elite civil services. The barrier to entry here is brutal. You have to endure the crushing difficulty and historically low success rate of the UPSC Civil Services examination. Those who clear it can enter the Indian Police Service. Officers like the one pictured here command immense authority in the field, taking direct responsibility for law and order, crime prevention, and internal security. Alternatively, the Indian Administrative Service track mandates officers to lead massive district teams, shape policy, and make the administrative decisions that govern everyday life across the country. Updating our matrix, IAS and IPS start at 56,100 rupees, an initial pay cut. But look at the terminal peak. Over a decades-long career, that ceiling reaches 2.5 lakh rupees. The trade-off? Earning that peak brings heavy public pressure, political scrutiny, and unpredictable hours. This track is built exclusively for the prestige seeker. It demands trading early financial liquidity for unparalleled social capital and true district-level authority. Which brings us back to the ultimate prize, the role that generates all those 4 lakh a month headlines. The cabinet secretary operates out of these corridors in New Delhi. This is the single senior-most IAS officer in the entire country, responsible for leading the civil services and advising the Prime Minister directly. The compensation matches the gravity of the position. A fixed base salary of 2.5 lakh rupees merges with comprehensive allowances for housing, travel, and security to push the total monthly value past the 4 lakh mark. But getting there requires surviving more than 3 decades of intense administrative and political filtering. Only one person holds this job. Basing your 2026 career choice purely on reaching this single desk is a massive statistical gamble. Your real, practical choice is between the immediate trajectory of the RBI and the long-term climb of the standard civil services. Ultimately, declaring one specific job as the definitive best is impossible until you identify what your personal career currency is. This flowchart breaks down the decision. Prioritize immediate financial return and a predictable work-life balance. Your path is the RBI Grade B exams. Conversely, if you view compensation as authority and will play a 30-year game, commit to the UPSC civil services. You have to look at these trade-offs honestly. Decide which sacrifice you can live with before you dedicate years of your life to studying for either of these exams. Now it's time to put your goal on the record. Drop down into the comments and declare your primary career currency right now. Are you optimizing for time or authority? And make sure to hit subscribe, because in the next video, we're breaking down the specific step-by-step exam strategies required to clear both of these paths.